Hi guys, I'm Mike and this is Indy Fanatics, your home for IndyCar content with weekly podcasts and feature videos. Welcome back to the channel guys, and today we have a special video for you today. Obviously, we know F1 is, it was our first iteration of the channel, F1 Fanatics, and we've come on to Indy Fanatics, and it's most people's, in Europe's, first kind of single-seater love, I would go fair to say. But there are kind of two other big ones outside of that. Obviously, IndyCar, you're here for that with Indy Fanatics, but also Formula E. So joining me today, I have a very special guest. I have Dan from F1 E Reviews. To kind of, we're going to go Formula E versus IndyCar and which is better. So Dan is here to fight the case for Formula E. So welcome to the channel, mate.
Morning, Mike. I'm geared up and ready to go here. I'm ready to fight Formula E's corner. This isn't going to be pretty. I'm telling you that now. So if you like IndyCar, I'm going to try my best to tear you down, but they're both great series and I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So thank you very much for having me, mate.
No problem at all, mate. Yeah, it's going to be a fierce battle, and me and Dan might not be friends by the end of it. That's how harsh this is going to get there. Hopefully this should be a good of fun, and obviously for those, some reasons probably why, you should probably watch both series as well, because like Dan said there, they are both great series. So basically what we are doing today is me and Dan are both going to pitch 3 points each for why we think, well, for me, IndyCar is better than Formula E, and for Dan, why Formula E is better than IndyCar, and then we'll kind of just round it off with a bit of conclusion, and then throw it back to you guys. We'll look forward to the comments and the kind of debates going from there. But Dan, as you're the guest, I'm going to leave it up to you. Would you like to, go straight in there? Go strong in with Formula E, or would you like to hear my points and counter first and you counter?
You know what? I'll let you go first. I'm convinced my final one, even though I know you've got some big punches coming this way, I think the final one I could end pretty strong, so I'll let you go first.
Okay, well, nice. So I'm going to go in with my first point, and that is the variety of tracks in IndyCar. Now, it's got ovals, street courses, because I won't call them circuits. We're American now. We're going IndyCar, so we call them street courses and road courses over the course. So I just think out of all the single seaters in the world, that's Super Formula, obviously the junior series in Formula One itself, Formula E, this is got the most variety and the most challenge, I think, to the drivers. In they're just so unique in their own way. Like it's difficult driving on street courses because they're usually more narrow compared there. They're not kind of a race circuit that they're all year. It kind of gets put up and it's just a one weekend event there, and they're always challenges for the driver. Obviously, there's some brilliant circuits like Laguna Seca, Mid-Ohio over the course of the season, Road America, brilliant courses there, and then the ovals themselves, such a unique challenge where you're basically going over 200 mile per hour for 200 odd laps. It's just such an intense kind of challenge on the body that, on the short ovals, I remember, I think, reading something like Alexander Rossi was saying, obviously driven in both F1 and IndyCar, he doesn't breathe in the corners, and then on the straights, that's where he's got like 5-6 seconds to kind of go on the kind of small, short speedways, which is insane to me. And I just think the circuits and the variety of it just makes it such a unique thing that is amazing for IndyCar, that has over other series, including Formula E. So, Dan, I'll throw it over to you. What's your first point?
Well, I'll just say the fact that, is it 4 of the circuits are ovals in IndyCar? I mean, the schedule I've got up, I'm sure, has been absolutely obliterated by COVID, so I'm sure that's not the actual one they ended up with.
You don't talk. So the ovals have come down a little bit, and it is a little bit of an issue at the moment, especially going into 2021. Okay. I think there's only 3 oval circuits with 4 oval races. But Dan, don't bring that up. Look, ovals are still there. It's still variety. Look, calm down. Get on with your point.
Look, yeah, I enjoy ovals more than most, so fair enough. I'm going to start off with that Formula E is the new Formula One. This is quite an abstract point, so you're going to have to bear with me, but Formula One, we all know, is in crisis. I mean, you know from your F1 Fanatics channel, I'm sure a lot of you are here from that. But Formula One is struggling at the moment. They need new tracks. They need new technologies. And at the moment, Formula E is saying, well, guys, don't worry. Manufacturers, you can come over here. New countries, drivers that maybe are pushed aside from Formula One, you can come over here. So straight from the go, if you're looking for a new series, if you're trying to weigh up, do I go to IndyCar and try something completely new, or do I stick to something that I kind of know but with a little bit more spice, a little bit more flair, you've got to go to Formula E. You know who the main contenders are. Who are the teams? Well, you know Audi. You don't need to be a Formula One fan to know Audi, to know Mercedes. More on that later on about manufacturers. I'm sure you were thinking that one might be coming. So you know some of the circuits as well, thinking about it. Monaco. Who doesn't know Monaco? We've even got Mexico in Formula E. Some Formula One circuits with a slight bit of variation. So from a beginner standpoint and a normal race fan standpoint, normal Formula One race fan standpoint, you go to Formula E. It's a very smooth transition. The cars are very, very similar. You might have to get used to the sound. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but from a very basic standpoint, it's the new Formula One.
Wow, look at that as a statement. Formula E, the new Formula One. But hey, with the world looking to challenge kind of greener energies and Formula E really kind of drive that point home, you're right, F1 is at some sort of a crossroads, and the decisions over the next few years are going to be absolutely key for the series. And Formula E, over its 6 seasons so far, is going from strength to strength. But back to IndyCar. Why you should. I mean, you've gone... be a little bit boring. Be kind of to go with what you know. No, go with the variety, spice up. Yes, it may be just in America, although we do on the normal calendar go over to Canada as well. And admittedly, IndyCar have admitted that they're just going to focus on the North America market and nailing that over the next few years. Because they are the premium series, single-seater series in North America. They're bigger than both Formula One and Formula E out there. You mentioned the manufacturers there, and that's actually going to be one of my counterpoints and might leads nicely onto my point too. And that is because the teams, bar obviously McLaren coming in this season, joining up with Arrow Schmidt-Peterson, it's pretty much guys who just absolutely love racing. And it's just, for me, the purity of racing. I love that we've got Chip Ganassi racing, AJ Foyt racing, Team Penske along the lines, Dale Coyne racing. I mean, Arrow Schmidt-Peterson was that before McLaren joined in as well. You've just got these... Ed Carpenter racing. It's just raining off. Those are guys that you know, regardless of what happens in the series, regardless of what happens in the world, if they can get on a racetrack, they will. And there's something quite refreshing about that there isn't any kind of corporateness that I would say to manufacturers, playing politics, wanting to dictate the rules. They are just there because they love racing and they want to win. And they're not there to sell cars. They're not there for anything there. They just love racing in its purest form. And that's what I would describe IndyCar as the series. It's where racers go to race. And that's seen from the top in terms of the team principals all the way down, obviously, to the drivers, engineers, everything on that front. It's just a brilliant series for that. And I just love that uniqueness to it. There's not many series out there anymore that just have these, just they're there because they love racing and they're doing their best to kind of compete in it. There you go, mate.
Wow.
Come back with that one.
Well, you see, you think you've played me there.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, you mention a few of the teams and say that they're proper racers. Well, my next point is that Formula E is an international championship. And I could I could sit here and speak for hours about it now getting world championship status, which IndyCar doesn't have. I could mention all the different countries, the 5 different continents that Formula E goes to. How many continents does IndyCar go to? Just the one, I believe. You might tell me I'm wrong. I believe it's just the one. But
no, I believe it's just the one at the moment because we've moved out of Mexico and South America.
You see, but I tell you what, I want to focus there on your team Penske, your team Andretti, because Formula E, we have a little bit of everything. And yes, we have the brands. We've got your BMWs, your Porsches from Germany. We've got Venturi from Monaco, a little bit more upper class. We've got British teams like Virgin. We've got Audi also from Germany. We did have Renault. We've now got Nissan. We've got a little bit of everything. But your teams, your incredible teams that no one can beat, we've even got those. We've got Andretti on the grid that decided, yeah, we enjoy IndyCar, but we want something a little bit different. We've got Penske in Dragon. I mean, we've just got something from everywhere. 17 of your drivers are American drivers. That's over half the grid. We've got drivers from all over the globe, again, from so many different continents, and the races are for the people. They're not just off in the States. You know, as a British fan, I'm sure this winds you up sometimes. You're not going to be able to go down a 2-hour drive down the motorway and go watch an IndyCar circuit. You've got to go millions of miles, it almost seems. Whereas Formula E, not only is maybe a couple of hours drive, but it's right in the heart of these cities, and so many fans get to watch the action right on the border of the circuit, maybe for free if it's literally off their balcony or through a window. But even the prices of a ticket, £60 it was in British money for a premium ticket for the Rome Prix last year. That's incredible. So not only is it a championship that is so inclusive, Formula E, it takes in people from all over the world. From a fan perspective, it's so accessible, whereas IndyCar, I'm not too sure.
I would say that's one of the big points that goes in Formula E's favour, and it's, I think, one of the main reasons why, you know, those series, well, the rapid growth of Formula E we've seen, and with Formula 1 as well, because it goes around the world, so therefore it gives an opportunity for people to go in countries. So IndyCar, you know, it is primarily Americans who have the access to that, you know, from Mexico as well. But America's a big state, even like a small kind of race. It's mainly, you'll probably just go to your local state event rather than travel the country with it as well. So it's a good point, Dan. It is a good point.
Thank you, man.
But I think you know what my third point is going to be.
I wonder.
You know what the big one's going to be, because it hasn't been mentioned yet, and everyone knows what's coming, and it's the one that Formula E just can't compete with, and that is the Indy 500, the race that has been going since 1911. You know, over 100 Indy 500s have been held. Like, that history is incredible. Some of, you know, you have great stars like Fernando Alonso from the world of Formula 1 wanting to come and compete in the Indy 500. It's such a unique experience. It is the biggest single motorsport event in the world. Yes, Le Mans, I would say, used to hold that title, but how accessible in the modern world, I wouldn't say that watching 24 hours of racing or a complete race, an event with the Le Mans 24 hours, can compete with what the Indy 500 is now. It's just a high, thrilling, high speed, high octane action that is just brilliant to watch, and the endings are usually fantastic. Yes, this season we did end under caution, but with Takuma Sato at 43 winning his second Indy 500, so happy that Fernando Alonso chose to compete again, because when Fernando competes, Takuma wins. But it's just an incredible race that Formula E, not even Formula 1, can compete with any race with the importance of the Indy 500. It just is the biggest motorsport event in the world every year, and it's incredible. It is absolutely an incredible event, and Dan, it doesn't matter. Indy 500. That's the point.
You're not wrong as well. That's the frustrating bit. You're bang on. The Indy 500 is incredible. It's something that, I mean, I never ever watched IndyCar until Fernando Alonso's first run, and now I've watched the Indy 500 every year, and I try my best to watch races, and you're right, that's going to be an impossible one to counterpoint. Or is it? Because Formula E is the future. Formula E, I feel, is a bit of an investment, because you're right, there isn't that race at the moment. It's not there, but Formula E is in its 6th season. IndyCar, how many years did you say that Indy 500's been running?
I believe we had the 104th running this year.
So the fact that we're talking about these two different championships, and Formula E's in its 6th season, pushing 7, and IndyCar's over 100 Indy 500s, I think is telling you how quick Formula E is growing. It's not for now. Yes, I love it now, but I know some people, there's still a few teething issues, there's still a couple of things they're not happy with. But when you've got teams like Mercedes, so dominant in Formula 1, so ridiculously dominant in Formula 1, even they're deciding, yeah, we'll give this Formula E thing a go. We mentioned the IndyCar teams last time out, Penske and Andretti moving over to Formula E. Everyone wants a piece of the pie at the moment, and the fact they're carbon neutral, the fact they're constantly pushing future technologies with their EV technologies within the cars, but also at the circuits themselves, they're trying their best to incorporate renewable technologies, but also renewable materials. I know when I went, even things like water bottles, they were all renewable. They were weird, don't get me wrong, and I don't want to talk about water bottles too long, but every little detail and every little aspect, Formula E were thinking about not only now, but also the future. And that's exactly what this series is. You've got 2 brands, 2 manufacturers in IndyCar. Formula E has 9. That's ridiculous. Everyone wants to be there. Even drivers that don't quite get a chance at Formula 1. Your Formula 2 champion Nick de Vries, an incredibly promising talent in Max Günther, they're looking at Formula E, even Formula 1 now. I know it's a little bit 50-50, but whereas a couple of years ago, I think Formula E, rightly so, had that bit of a thing on its back about being a retirement home, I think for the most part that's disappearing now, and I think maybe IndyCar's sharing that a little bit. But I do certainly think Formula E is the future of motorsport. So though the Indy 500, I just have to concede, is an incredible event. There's nothing like it in motorsport. What's not to say in 5, 10, 15 years we've got the electric 500. Who knows? So for the moment, maybe IndyCar just beats it out, but certainly Formula E, I see it as an investment and a sport for the future.
I think it's a very good point, the future point in there. And you can just tell the way that the world is going, and obviously their focus, I think obviously we're both UK based here. I think it's by 2035 they want every cars to be electric.
Yeah, I believe so.
So by that logic, you're correct, it is the future. That's what premium goes for it. But you know, we'll go on to kind of a conclusion and a bit more kind of relaxed chat on it. For me, Formula E, yes, it has the global status. It has it has the manufacturers. It has everything like that. It goes to the global things. It goes to the heart of the city centres. And it's unfair to it because everything needs time and history to develop. But it just doesn't have the heart of racing for me. The tracks are a little bit, although you're in the heart of the city centres, they seem a little bit soulless, a little bit bland at the moment. There's a little bit with Rome. They're developing as it goes, and I think they do need to go on proper racetracks as well for the future of Formula E, just to add that variety. I don't know if they can do street circuits all year for a calendar. Where IndyCar for me, it's just, if you love racing, you will love IndyCar. The wheel-to-wheel action is brilliant. Like I said, the variety in terms of the circuits is incredible. Yes, it is only based in North America, and it is there, but there's kind of this almost appeal of IndyCar that goes, they don't really care. They just want to turn up and race. they've got V6s. They're the kind of only major series that haven't kind of switched to a kind of hybrid engine yet. Although in 2023, I believe they will be coming in, and with a potential of one of the manufacturers and the biggest manufacturer in the world is Ferrari, and they're not really interested in Formula E. You know what they are interested in joining, and who Roger Penske's main point of dialogue is to kind of pull in for 2023? It's Ferrari to IndyCar, and that would be huge for IndyCar in terms across there. And they, you know, the fact is, battery powered cars, it is a future, but there's always more than one alternative. There isn't just one way to do things, and IndyCar, Formula One is kind of got to find a way to be an alternative, but IndyCar doesn't care. They're like, we're loud, we're fast, and we don't care. And I just think that's quite a refreshing outlook on life, to be fair, in just something they're going, we just love racing. We don't care about anything of the outside world selling cars, whether it has any real life things. We just want to go racing fast and have fun. And I think that's quite a refreshing take of it.
You know what, I have to agree with you there, and it's one of the things that I really enjoyed, and I actually did find really refreshing when I watched IndyCar for the first couple of times, because some of the incidents, and I know some of them are ridiculously awful in IndyCar, but some of them, there would be a huge incident and they would just carry on. That they honestly, they want to just focus, get to the checkered flag, and that racing passion, I think, is so commendable in IndyCar. And I think it's something that even Formula One is losing a little bit with that corporate aspect coming in. Formula E, like I said, it doesn't really have that as much yet. I think a lot of the talk with Formula E is getting over those hurdles of it being electric, of the sound, which is something I don't mind, but I know it's something a lot of people really don't like. And the sound of a Formula One car, a sound of an Indy car, it's better. It doesn't bother me as much as other fans, but certainly that sound of a proper engine, you can't quite beat it. And I personally prefer racing on an actual circuit, whether it's a street circuit or normal road circuit, to an oval. But don't get me wrong, I do like a bit of oval every now and then. NASCAR sometimes tempts my fancy. Indy 500 is always an awesome event. So certainly that bit of variety that IndyCar has in its back pocket is a very, very nice thing to have indeed. With Formula E, I think that's something they really need to improve with. They are so much about bringing racing to the people, and I love that. I think it's such a brilliant initiative for them to have, but I think it does hurt them when it's going out to a bigger audience. Why not do a race at, well, I know they're planning on doing the full Monaco circuit, but that's a street race. The Mexico circuit is the only one we've ever had, except Donington in the first couple of series. Only those two circuits haven't been street circuits. And I think that bit of variety, I don't think ovals would work with Formula E.
No.
But just at least trying some road circuits and something else, I think would really bring the sport to life a little bit more. Attack mode I love. But again, I know it's something that casual fans, they want that really pure racing, which I think IndyCar does a better job of doing. But I think if you want to see something a little bit more gimmicky, which I don't mind too much, I think attack mode is brilliant. Formula One certainly in the middle, where they certainly don't want to be gimmicky, but their cars can't overtake. So that's kind of the best of both worlds if you want. Whereas IndyCar have built cars, have got circuits where overtaking's possible. You can have some great racing. Formula E understands it's difficult to overtake on a street circuit, but those little extra added bonuses and spicinesses, as I like to call them, I quite like and I quite enjoy.
Yeah, I think they've made themselves unique, and they've made their package like a short burst of kind of exciting racing action. And I think what is brilliant both series, obviously IndyCar has push to pass, and I really like that. I prefer that to the DRS or ERS systems. Although they are driver managed and you have to get within a window with DRS, like push to pass is you get on the kind of street and road courses, you get the option to deploy it whenever you want in 20-second bursts. And then there's that extra element of driver skill. Who manages that better? Who uses it better to kind of make an overtake and make the difference within the race? And, you know, when they're holding on to it, who can use it in a battle in terms of defending and attacking? And I really think that adds a unique aspect. And obviously other series like DTM have used it. And I think it has been in other series around the world. And I think it's a really unique system that adds a little extra element, because at the end of the day, the drivers are in the spotlight and that's what we focus. And probably I'll give you a point to confirm this as well. I think what Formula E and IndyCar do so well, which makes them both great series, is the action on the grid is so much closer. And they've got engine manufacturers. So in IndyCar, it's Honda versus Chevy, but that's a really close battle and it's really exciting. So no one's kind of taken too much of an advantage there. But, you know, Formula E, you've got all the manufacturers. There's how many different, you'll be able to tell me out, is it 7 different engine on the grid?
I think 8 now, since Porsche and Mercedes have come in.
Wow. So yeah, that's pretty incredible in terms of them going head to head against each other. But the main positive of them is their engines are cheaper. So therefore it's easier for these guys to compete. But the racing action is so good. And I think both sets of IndyCar and Formula E, people may argue either way in terms of, I think both have got incredibly talented grids of drivers. Obviously you've had Jean-Eric Vergne be the first double champion within Formula E and stuff like that. Obviously DS Techeetah have won the last 3 drivers and constructors titles on that front with Antonio Felix da Costa. Well, Felix Antonio da Costa is, I've got his name.
You got it right the first time, don't worry.
There we go. Antonio Felix da Costa, for whatever reason, decided to mix up in my head. But, you know, brilliant champs there. Scott Dixon, Joseph Newgarden in IndyCar. I mean, Scott Dixon at 40 years of age could get his 6th IndyCar title this year. And I love that. The fact that Formula One almost seems to be, once your stars or your experienced, brilliant drivers get to a certain age, we kind of want to heave them out for some young talent and don't appreciate, and their skills almost get rendered. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton's going against the mould, but he's in the fantastic car. But, you know, Scott Dixon, I said Takuma Sato at 43 winning the Indy 500. I like that there's the young talent that comes through, but also the experience and the great stars are cherished within the series to still do really well. And I think Formula E provides that opportunity as well, that they don't care if they're a little bit older, they'll bring them in if they're great racers. Definitely.
I think that aspect of having experience in Formula One, I think you've got to be that little bit more aggressive sometimes, because overtaking is so difficult. But I think IndyCar and Formula E is such a different skill set. Being young, being hungry is great, but you're going to, in theory, make more mistakes if you're being a bit more risky, if you're pushing those boundaries a little bit more. And having that experience, knowing when to pass. You mentioned with the push to overtake, is that
push to pass? Push to pass.
Push to pass. There you go. Just having that knowledge of the different circuits, how the different cars work, can help you with all your experience. So with IndyCar, you're right with Scott Dixon. I know Alexander Rossi's a little bit younger, Newgarden as well, I believe. You get that mix and that variety of talent. Doesn't matter how old you are, you can still perform well. Formula E, I think the best example of someone coming in quite old is Andre Lotterer. Someone who did one race in Formula One, wasn't a big fan of Formula One from all accounts, was incredible in endurance racing, LMP1, several Le Mans titles. He came to Formula E way over the age of 40, I believe. I think he's about 43. Apologies, Andre, if you're younger than that. But he came to Formula E, initially struggled, but with all those years of experience in endurance cars, I think he tried DTM once as well. He's been all over the place, Andre Lotterer. He's now been able to really hone his abilities in Formula E. Doesn't matter about his age, he's now got the lead drive at Porsche and looks to be like one of the more consistent and better drivers in this series. So I think you're right, both of them. Doesn't matter how old you are, as long as you've got that racing mind, you've got that little bit of hunger, you're going to do fine.
Absolutely. And I think that's probably a good point to round off this little discussion and debate that we've had today. So obviously, you know, me being from Indy Fanatics, of course, IndyCar is in my heart. Formula E is in Dan's heart. And you've heard our points and you've heard our discussions. We'd like to kind of hear the debate kind of go on in the comments below. But Dan, thank you so much for coming on to the channel. Well, technically you've been on F1 Fanatics, but for Indy Fanatics, first time. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, mate. I've not spoken about Formula E for quite a while, and I think this is the first time I've ever debated someone with IndyCar, so I've loved it, mate, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed as well.
Yep, it's been brilliant. And guys, I will obviously leave a link in the description down below to Dan's channel, F1E Reviews. Brilliant channel covering Formula 1 and Formula E content, so I'd highly recommend that for any of you. But that's it from us today. So you Indy fans, keep racing.